Hi, welcome everyone. Today we have Ed Wong. Ed Wong is a director of Tabar and co-founder of Last Conference. He is a very well-known person in the Agile community in Australia and globally. He's an Agile coach. He's been doing great job in Australia, bringing in thought leaders from various countries in the world, running lots of conferences and meetups. Hi, Ed.
Hi Arash, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure having you. So you've been doing great job improving agile capability within Australia. I know lots of agile coaches, scrum masters, and thought leaders in Australia who have been inspired by going to the conferences and meetups that you organize. And I think we got a very strong agile community in Australia, and particularly in Melbourne, because of the great work that you've been doing.
I mean, I think I'm responsible for helping some people along, but it was going along here well before I got back to live in Melbourne. I grew up here. I lived overseas for about 10 years, and in that time, that's when I picked up agile ways of working, and just didn't want to do work in the same older ways that I've been doing it before. And by the time I got back to Australia, I sort of just hooked on to the community here, and then took up the mantle of helping people to learn things and share what they know with each other, pretty much. So yeah, it was definitely not. I'm not the origin of it all. There were definitely people in Australia who'd been doing it, and it just so happened when I came back, there was something that I slotted into in the meetup community, and from that meetup community is where the rest of what I've done in the last 10 years, maybe a bit less than 10 years in Australia is come about, from being involved with what other people had started, really adding my own thing.
Fantastic. No, absolutely. I mean, Tabar yourself, other people have been doing it. You've been doing a great job. Now, I know
Thanks.
since the past few years, you have been thinking and strategizing about getting a lot of those communities online, and like you were thinking about the conference, the last conference, turning into a last anywhere kind of approach. Even when we did a 1 day, I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken, we did a 1 day conference in Melbourne instead of 2 day conference, and had the second day in an online kind of fashion. But with the COVID and the situation that we have now, things have progressed much further. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you've been doing in that space?
Yeah, sure. So everything that we've been doing with meetups, and for those people who don't know, LAST stands for Lean, Agile and Systems Thinking. So it started off as a 1 day thing in 2012, off the back of meetups and going to things like Agile Tour in Sydney. And it was all about practitioners getting together and basically having lots of meetups all at the one time, all in 1 day. And it grew and grew over the years, and we just added more sessions, and grew to two full days instead of 1 day. And then people in other places around Australia, Sydney, Brisbane, Canberra, Adelaide, as well as Melbourne, started organising their own things. But they were all getting together, shaking hands, having a coffee, getting in rooms with each other, and physical events like that. And then I thought, well, what about people who can't get to those places where we hold these things? And people in other places that also asked me about running things where they were, maybe New Zealand, maybe places like Singapore and that type of thing. And we sort of deliberately didn't go off and do those right away. But yeah, that was one of the things that got me thinking about how can we help people who can't get to one of those places. And coupled with that was the me thinking about technology and the way people learn changing. And I was getting tired in some ways of some of the formats that you had out there for different events. And I particularly don't like so much the conferences you go to where they're in a generic kind of hotel with the same kind of thing going on. And so I try and do things differently. And I just thought the convergence of technology and the improvement in bandwidth and online experiences is only going to get better. Then this is me thinking in 2018 or 2019. So as you alluded to, Arash, I thought, let's try and learn a little bit about doing things, sharing things online. Not that it wasn't happening, but yeah, I wanted to make a foray into that side of things. So as you said, last year I did an experiment primarily with the famous John Cutler. I couldn't get him out to Australia. I've been trying for a while and a few things conspired against it. So I said to him, let's try and do something where, John, you stay in California and we try and do an event where it's as engaging as possible with everyone being not in the same room. So we did an experiment there. I thought, great, people will be ready for this at some point. At least I know a little bit more about it. And then obviously in March, I looked around and thought, well, everyone's going to start getting online. I won't have what little advantage I have. I won't have it for very long. So, and then not being able to organize anything where people got together face to face, I decided to just go full in and try and do a lot of different things online. So I guess that's sort of the thinking that I had around it.
Yeah.
And the other thing that feeds into this is a lot of people who are watching this will be fans of Simon Wardley and Wardley mapping. And when I lived in the UK, I went to a conference in about 2009 and Simon Wardley was there and he did one of the best talks that I saw there. And I've been following him ever since that. And last year I was lucky enough to be in the UK and I caught up with him at another conference, and there was a lot of Wardley mapping going on at that particular event. And if you follow him on Twitter,
He's
you'll see that, yeah, he has lots of thoughts about different things, but he sort of explains them through in a particular way. And one of them was about how why maybe we shouldn't just try and snap back to what it used to be like before all of this, and maybe look for the opportunities that can arise. So that got me thinking again about events, what it is that makes something like last conference valuable for people. And for me, it's the community and the learning from each other and the a social element. So that's what I've tried to do this in the last few months, is to try and provide an element of that community in there. And I'm not saying I've got it right yet, but we're trying to develop and foster that kind of side of things.
Absolutely, because I think the greatest thing that's missing from all these online meetups and events that are happening now is that community social aspect of it. It's just another webinar or just another meeting now where you go and you listen. But with the physical meetups, those conversations that we had when we were having beer or pizza, or before and after the session, and those activities in the session, they were really valuable. And with the work that you're doing, if we can bring that aspect back into it, using those new technologies that being developed now, video facilitator or other tools that are happening and are being developed currently, it could be a great thing. Now, can you tell me a bit more on what's next? I know you've been working on a few different things, so you want to share some of them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is going to go out before the 1st of September, but I've got something coming up on this 1st of September, which is a 3-hour mini last. and I've got Jeff Patton to open with his thoughts around a particular topic, and he's also going to ask pose a few questions at the end of it for people to talk about in the next session afterwards. So we're going to have breakout sessions. This is all online. He's going to be in Utah, and everyone else is going to be wherever they are. But then we're going to go into online breakout sessions and discuss those questions amongst us. And then Jeff is going to pop into the different rooms, and people will have time with Jeff as well. And then after that, we're going to go into all different sessions. So I'm calling it like a mini last. It's about 3 hours long, because I didn't want to do just an attempt at getting a conference online in a kind of carbon copy, and I didn't want people to sit around for 8 to 10 hours just listening to some people doing talks. So that's
smaller groups means more personal interactions with Jeff Patton, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the next iteration of that, the second version of that, it won't be any famous people. It'll be back to our roots, where it's just people sharing things in smaller sessions. So that's something that we're doing, which is part of something I call the last Clubhouse. If you want to know more, it's clubhouse.lastconference.com. And the idea of that is you join it and you get to know the people who are also members of that Clubhouse. And a lot of people if you think about it, last year there was 1,500 plus people around 5 different cities who came. And over the years, there's been several thousand people. And so there's a community there. So I wanted to appeal to those people who are a community out there to come along to this, but also to be a place where those people who couldn't come along, like I was saying earlier, could come along and not feel intimidated by not knowing anyone. Trying to have opportunities for people to get to know each other a little bit more in an online
Absolutely
experience.
So for anyone who's interested, clubhouse.last is going to be in the description, the link. You can click on it and check it out. Before we finish, so with this last Clubhouse, there's paid membership and free membership. You have some free videos and things like that, and you got, for people who are paid, like recorded videos and courses and things like that, right?
Yeah, there's an entirely free membership you can get, and it's got some of the most recent talks that we have that are recorded that you can come and see. And I'm just starting a message board up for that side of things as well. And we also have something where we ask for money, and you can access the full archive of things, take part in the online community. As part of that, you get to come along to these mini lasts as well. That's included within it. But if you don't want to join up like that, you can come to the events and the workshops that we have just as a one-off. And as with the physical conference, I'm really trying to keep this affordable. It's not, I don't think a huge amount of money. It's not something like that. It's not like something like that. It all comes out of meetups in the community. So value is there, hopefully. But yeah, the main thing is like learning and sharing knowledge is the reason I do most of this. I just enjoy helping people to gain some knowledge in a kind of non-formal way.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ed. It was such a pleasure having you today. Anything else for today you want to say to our audience?
Well, no, let's leave it there. I mean, we can do something else another time about other thoughts, but yeah.
Definitely. Sounds good. Sounds good. It was such a pleasure having you. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks very much, Arash.
And thanks everyone for watching.